Hey, this is Chris Lee with The Beast is Back, and you're listening to the Master of One podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Master of One podcast, the podcast that's stranded on the beach and always waiting for our rescue. Part 1 this week, we talk about glow, enamel pins, Dunkirk, and Oh Captain. I'm Andrew, your Master of Art and Design.
I'm Patrick, your Master of Television and Film.
And I'm Luke, your Master of Toys and Games.
So make sure you have your life vest, because this boat's leaving the shore.
It's sinking.
We like to kick every episode off by going around the table, which is where we talk about something new, fun, and noteworthy about our weeks. Does anyone else notice that I sound amazing right now?
Yes.
No.
So I'm I'm just going to go ahead and start. I'll just kick it off because I never do, and I just feel excited. I'm using my brand new audio equipment, and we've So Patrick and Luke have been using theirs for the last several weeks, and I got mine in, and then...
To be fair, though, we both sounded awesome already.
You sounded fine, I'd say. Your audio sounded
awesome.
good, but then your voice also just ruined it.
You're a friend.
But the audio equipment came in, and then I didn't have the right cables and stuff, and so I'm finally all set up and good to go, and I can tell a legitimate difference. It just feels... I don't know. I like that it's not in front of me anymore. It's up and it's on the arm and everything. I feel way more professional now. So, anyway,
we look pretty good.
What?
We look pretty good.
Yeah, I think we look better if we put our shirts back on. But yeah, generally speaking, we look good. So for my week this week, it was pretty relaxed. I've been back in the Game of Thrones universe, and if you're not caught up on Game of Thrones, I'm not going to say any spoilers, but episode 2 was great.
Not you.
Right? Episode 2 was awesome.
Yeah,
it was good. I'm a little mixed about this. I loved it, but basically everyone I saw it with was kind of it was okay.
You
Are
need
you
new
kidding?
friends.
Seriously, they were acting like
wrong.
it was too slow or...
What?
Oh, but they liked the first episode?
No, well, they complained then too. I think
I don't think they like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, maybe they just like different kinds of shows.
I think considering where we're at, about to move to the third episode, the pace is moving, the pieces are moving.
It was a pretty big ramp.
Quickly.
Bro,
Yeah.
I agree, and even with the preview of the next episode, knowing kind of what jumps,
totally.
I'm they're not drawing this out. They could definitely draw one piece that we all know what we're talking about, but we're not going to say. They could draw that out over the entire season and have that be a journey. Instead, they're just okay, and
There was 8 minutes of this week's episode that was a little too drawn out, but other than that.
I just think that it was a great... I just think that it was a... Patrick's doing hand gestures. For anybody wondering why we just started laughing. I thought that it was a great pace to the story. I like the direction we're heading to. There's a culmination of something that I feel like has been in the works since... the first season, and I'm finally we're here, and this is happening. So we can talk about all that stuff off air, just so that we're all on the same page. But
my only comment, I only have one comment.
Sure,
it does feel a bit on the nose so far this season, and I don't feel like there is necessarily as much, I think, hidden meaning buried in everything, or as much ambiguity as I felt in the past. But that also could be that we're just 7 seasons in.
Well, we have this season and next season, and then it's done. So it's they got to get somewhere. So I don't think it's as much open-ended, let's see what happens kind of thing.
Fair enough.
So Game of Thrones, if you're a fan of it, hopefully you're up to speed on it. Join the Slack conversation and go to the Spoiled Milk channel, and we can chat spoilers all day long if you want in there. But it's great. I'm really excited about where this season is going. other than that, holy cow! So this is the first year in the last few that I haven't been at San Diego this week for Comic-Con, and I regret it not being there.
Really?
I did, and I even said to Chandra, I'm like, I would have been at Comic-Con. Yeah, I said I would have been at Comic-Con this week, and I'm like, man. And she said, "Oh, I'm glad you're not." I'm like, that's a terrible thing to say, because. And she
I think her sentiment matches my wife's. It's just
like you're home and
it's
you're
a
not
week
gone, right?
without having to find babysitters and doing random things. Sure.
Watch someone else have a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh! So I think I probably my Instagram, like being tied to Instagram, was pretty much at an all-time high this weekend. Just watching people experience SDCC. And trying to get a feel for what it was like being there, knowing that I wasn't this year. And so a lot of cool stuff happened. I thought that after D23 happened that like they would have stolen all of like the thunder, which they did take a lot of thunder, which is good for them. I mean, when you own Disney and ABC and Marvel and Star Wars, I mean, that's most of Comic-Con right there, right?
Sure.
And they did a lot of reveals at D23, but Comic-Con, they saved a lot of stuff for that. And we got the new Infinity Wars first look. There was leaked footage of it. I don't know if you saw it or not, but there's like 4 or 5 minutes of leaked footage.
Oh,
and
I did watch
great.
it. Absolutely.
We got a new trailer for Stranger Things 2, which was insanely good, all Ghostbusters themed with Thriller and Vincent Price. What was the third one? There was Westworld got a new trailer, and
Ready Player
One, which was
Did
cow.
either of you read that book?
I haven't. No,
you gave it to me though.
Yeah.
Remember, you got one in Loot Crate, and you had already gotten it, so you gave me.
You need to read
so
it, or you need to get the audiobook and listen to it, or whatever. It's so Gabe me and Gabe Barletta were just talking in Slack about it, and he was saying, "Do you need to read the book before you see the movie, or will you be mad at the movie after reading the book? If you read it before you see it?" And I would say, if it's anybody but Spielberg, I would say maybe see the movie first. But I think the amount of licensing, because this book is kind of like an amalgamation of all pop culture and it talks about everything from our childhood.
Well, dude, yeah, watching the trailer.
Yeah, and you see Iron Giant and stuff. Yeah,
Iron Giant and the DeLorean. The time machine. And
so I would say, I don't think he'll ruin it. If anybody can do it well, I think Spielberg will be fine. And all of the licensees, I imagine, will just get on board if they say, "Oh, Spielberg's in? Yeah, that's fine. We trust him." So I would say read it because it's a fantastic read. His other book, Armada, is also good. But yeah, Ready Player One, man, I am so excited for it.
Did y'all see the Westworld experience at SDCC?
Yes.
No.
Yeah. Did you see the walkthrough of it?
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Literally what you would do, you had to sign up for your time slot. I think it was like maybe an hour-long slot, and they would take you in, and it looked like you were just getting there, like kind of walking through the offices or like the long hallway into the dressing area, and they would do a prep session. They did like basically like a mental evaluation, and then they would take you through all the gear, and then based on some of your answers, they would give you a specific like cowboy hat.
Either white or black. I think it was just to determine good or bad, right? Like
exactly where you would fall if it hit the fan, and then they led you into the opening scene, which is the bar. I'm trying to think of the correct term for it, but anyway,
saloon.
The saloon, yeah. And then you could go up, sit down, order a drink, and sit there and have a drink with everybody else, like in full costume and like the player piano going and all that kind of stuff. And then after about 30 minutes, then like your experience ended and they ushered you out. But it looked like whoever
Did they
put
give
together
you a
the
gun?
sets for it. No. I think the only thing they ended up giving you was just the cowboy hat. I think they take you through all the gear. But the only piece of the only
so there was no interaction, like nothing went wrong. You just sit there and have a drink.
Yeah, I think they hinted to stuff, but the encounter I read, they ushered you out before there was an interaction.
Yeah, I think the idea was you would interact with what are they called?
The hosts.
The hosts. Yeah, you were interacting with hosts, quote unquote hosts. But there was no altercation or anything like that. I think all of the gear and everything that you went through was in the room, but I was under glass, like they had it. So like you're looking at how the staging room or whatever. But it was neat. I mean, it was really cool. You know, we've been there, Luke, and you know how elaborate some of these walkthroughs can be. And it was really neat to see that.
That seems very long for a walkthrough.
It does. They did another walkthrough for Blade Runner 2049.
Ooh, nice.
And they had 37 actors in full costume, and then they turned a section of the conference center. I don't know if it was inside or outside. I think it was inside. Into a like a market dilapidated
district
future LA.
Yeah.
And it was and it was a full immersive experience, including like a dance club and stuff.
And
like
I think
that,
they said it had a VR component in the beginning.
Yes, there was a
and
VR
then
component.
they dumped you into the world. The Westworld one, if I remember right, it wasn't at the center. It was at a hotel adjacent to the convention center.
Sure.
Yeah, there's so many venues for this. I think it's probably where they had the HBO, or not the HBO. Well, I guess it probably was the HBO, but the Game of Thrones experience.
Yeah.
It wasn't anywhere in the actual the convention center. It was a couple miles away, actually, or like a mile away, at a different venue. Like where we did the Call of Duty Zombies experience last year.
Yeah.
Was
around the block. Yeah. It was
down the street. Which was pretty cool itself.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that you missed being there, because I mean, we both decided so we went 2 years in a row together, and we both decided like, it was okay, let's just not go. We have other stuff going on this year, and like I saw video and stuff. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, there's things from Hall H that I wished I would have been part of live. But everything else, I was just like seeing people's videos from the con floor. I was just like, I don't really miss that. I think I would miss maybe some experiences, but not the like hustle and like
I
craziness
did not miss
of the floor.
hustle, but here's what I did miss. I missed, I was seeing Alex Delianis and his post, and I was seeing
Chris Lee.
Chris Lee and Kevin Tong and all the Mondo guys.
Mark
and,
Morris.
And Noah Elias, and seeing just all of their experiences. And this year, Tom Whalen was there.
Yeah.
He was signing for the Marvel panel and the Lego panel.
For everything.
And the
I think if it
Mondo
was
panel.
anything there, he signed for it.
Yeah, he was at every freaking panel signing.
He was at other panels he wasn't even part of, just signing.
So, yeah, he's just showing up at other people's booths and just, hey, let me sign that for you. Like, that's not yours.
It seems like a large...
I'm Tom Whalen. They're like, oh, yes, please
sign this. It seems like proportionally speaking, a large percentage of our Slack channel had booths at SDC.
I would agree with that.
It was
large, as in there's like 1,000 booths and we had maybe 10. So yes.
So I just think from that perspective, I was thinking I really miss the experience of being with people. And we had also talked about this year going back, like staying closer to the convention center so that we could actually be a part of it a little bit longer in the day and maybe not be so caught up in the buying things, which is what we've done the last 2 years.
Yep.
So anyway, that's the part that I missed. I missed Hall H because we have a connection there.
Yeah.
We could have been in there for all of that stuff.
I know.
And that's what kind of sucks. But
sure.
We have some other things. I think next year I'm going to go to D23. Like, I think it's going to have to happen. After all the stuff they announced this year, I feel like it would be a good use of time. So, and because they're so close to each other, you can maybe potentially do both, because they were literally a week apart today or this year. So
sure.
If you make the right connections, we know we have a place to stay when we go out there.
Yeah.
In between, it wouldn't cost us anything. So anyway,
Mark Morris, thank you.
Among other people. But we, so my week consisted of really wishing I was other places. I guess, I don't know. Escapism, I guess, is where I want to land on that. So I'll hand it off to somebody else. Somebody take it away, Patrick.
I will pick up the baton. That's right. This week, it has been announced that MS Paint is moving to the deprecated list in the newest Windows 10 update, which means it will be removed from Windows 10 sometime in in That's
but what
right.
do you
Windows,
use to do art with then?
I have no idea. I've always used
That's
MS
where
Paint.
all of our episode artwork comes from.
And it's 1985 to 2017. That's a good run. That's 32-ish years. Congratulations. But it is a sad day.
That's more of a run than either of you two.
That's not entirely true, but for Patrick, yeah.
Yeah. Luke actually learned MS Paint in college. They had just released his junior year of college. They began teaching it immediately.
It was an elective, though. It wasn't for like professional use.
Oh, however old that makes him, he's 10 years older than that because he was also slow. Yeah, so that's been, in addition to that, I also finished the documentary series on HBO, The Defiant Ones. Luke talked about that, I believe, last week on the show and 2 weeks ago. And that is just, it's just so much about relentless pursuit, the power of relentless pursuit. I think especially, so I think it had a bit of a lull, probably end of number 2 and into number 3, and especially 3. I honestly didn't care for part 3 really at all. I mean, that time period wasn't very interesting to me, but first episode, first quarter of the second episode, and then the last episode when they start the story about Beats, everyone should just be required to watch it.
That's interesting you say that. I want to hear you go on, but I need to ask you, everybody I've heard, like reviews and other people I've heard talk about it, felt like 4 was just an advertisement.
No, I don't think that. I mean, so It's very interesting. I won't go into full detail, but basically you learn that... so actually 4 initially starts where Eminem comes on the scene, and so it talks about how that happened. It also... frankly, talks a lot about Dre growing up, just being an adult now. And it talks a lot about passing the baton to younger artists. So then you start seeing like Kendrick Lamar and things like that.
Yeah.
So it talks about the fact that music is a young man's game. And it's a bit about that. But the story about Beats, literally the idea, the name for it, it came out of a 10-minute unplanned casual conversation. And so I think when you hear that and know that in the span of 3 years, it was a $3.2 billion sale that was generated out of a 10-minute conversation. However, from 2 people that have just been in this like really relentless like headspace for the past couple decades, it's just, I think that is fascinating. The idea of if you're constantly going after something, then being able to like seize that opportunity when it presents itself. I don't know. I can understand the feeling like the advertisement part, but the reality is it is a huge part of their story. And in fact, some of the artists talk about it. I mean, Eminem even says that he was fed up hearing Dre and Iveen talk about beats all the time instead of being concerned about making music. So they do actually confront that in the documentary.
Right.
So I still think it's a great watch. So that's been most of my stuff. I'm very excited about my master category, but I'll keep a lid on it for now. But I do want to hear, now that we're passing it to Luke, I'm hoping you're not going to forget about Dunkirk.
Yeah, I was going to let Luke bridge that topic since I talked about SDCC.
Yeah, I won't forget about Dunkirk like some people in our group.
Spoiler alert, he's talking about Patrick.
Yeah. First of all, before we get into Dunkirk, I want to talk about a game just came out that I got, and it's awesome. It's called Fortnite, and it's Fortnite. It's a survival game. It's a survival like Minecraft meets tower defense. So the idea is the storm happens, turns people into husks or zombies, and you have to go and gather resources, build a fort to defend them, and kind of take out zombies in waves. And that's the game. You go on missions, you earn more, you find survivors, then you put survivors to work in the fort to help defend, and you have some go on research and scavenge, and really fun game, super awesome art style. It's like really playful, kind of like it feels a lot like a cartoonish version of Fallout, like the Fallout series. Like you have that kind of artwork and robots, but then this a little bit more exaggerated kind of like building structure and stuff like that. It's really fun. It's cool. It's available, wherever it's PS4 and PC. And yeah, it's really awesome. So check that out. Okay, now Dunkirk. So Dunkirk, we heard about from Patrick. He was, I think, paraphrasing, I will be the first one in the theater. You all are wrong.
Absolutely.
It's going to be amazing.
But I came on the wrong day, and then I didn't have a chance to go back.
Right, sure.
Because we got
berated.
We got handed to for saying we weren't excited about this movie.
Right. Now,
much disgrace thrown and shade thrown upon Luke and myself.
And so
much so that what happened, Patrick or Luke?
So we both went to see it. We felt like, fine, we'll go see it. Turns out Patrick did not see it.
Yeah. I saw it opening day. You saw it also opening day, right?
I saw it Thursday. I saw it pre-opening, and I saw it in 70 millimeter.
And I saw it in 35 millimeter. So like we
I
both
saw
paid
it in
extra
the
money
experience.
to see it.
I saw it in the experience it was filmed for. Like I saw, I gave it its best shot.
Yes. And then Patrick couldn't even be bothered to get up.
He was like, meh. Whatever. I'll just make them feel bad.
If you only knew what I went through, but yes.
I hope to hear. But let me get through my thoughts. So I will say that in the episode, I didn't say that I didn't think it would be good. I know Nolan is a great director. I know it'll be visually gorgeous and sound amazing. Both things were true. The movie is also great. The previews, I will still say, did not make me want to watch it. But I'm glad I went and saw it because it's fantastic. It's a good movie. It's just about war and just the realness of just what happens. The movie's just awesome because there's not a real hero necessarily. There's some characters that you see throughout, but there's not like a overarching hero of the day. Tom Hardy plays a character that is maybe the most like a hero, but it's just more about there's multiple things that go into victory. And it was awesome. And it was it felt some parts felt a little long, even for an hour and 40-minute runtime. Some parts felt a little bit drawn out. But for the most part, it was a very interesting storytelling experience that I didn't see coming. And as you kind of piece it together, it's really fascinating and even more entertaining. Go see it.
Yeah, I would say that piecing it, you have to piece it together a little bit.
Sure. But I think they do it for you, though. I think once you see it, start happening, and you kind of have to go, oh, wait, what is this? I feel like this is something. I'm trying to not give any spoilers.
Sure, yeah. But I paid attention to it. Obviously, I was paying attention to it. And I went with somebody else, and they didn't quite understand all of the cut. Like, they play with the timeline. We'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
And, I actually did hear that, so I was aware of that. But yeah.
So I had to explain some of that stuff. There's very little dialogue. I'd say there's probably only 20% of the film is actual dialogue. There's very, very little. But the whole story was told visually. I loved it. I actually thought it was a really, really great film. I really like Tom Hardy a lot. And I like what they did with it. Christopher Nolan did a great job. It was interesting at Alamo. They do these pre-show shows for the 30 minutes leading up to it, and they had this whole reel that was with the whole 30 minutes was 30 minutes with Christopher Nolan essentially, and they were broken into these little mini featurettes. And one of them was all the 7 films that inspired Dunkirk, and to see what some of them were was really interesting. A couple of them were old silent films because of the visual storytelling and stuff that was part of it. But some of them were very, very unexpected.
Yeah.
Only a couple of them were even war movies at all.
Right.
So it was just really interesting. So
I agree with a lot of that, except for I feel like Tom Hardy's character was a little too amazing, and I'll just leave it at that. a little bit.
I can understand that. Yeah, I get that.
It pulled me out of the story a little bit because it felt a little bit too phenomenal. The other thing, and this was kind of the more interesting takeaway, I went to see it with a group of guys, and we were talking about how it made us feel like when we left, and to me, it was just like, felt like, you know, what would I do in that situation, or what would I do if that was going to happen? Like, how would I react? And it kind of made me realize that, like, we as a generation have not really had an instance where we've had to come together around something and fight. And so I don't know, like, I think that might be part of the why of, like, maybe I wasn't as interested to see it, because I'm struggling to connect with that idea. I mean, I would be terrified if I had to go and do that, and thankfully I haven't, and I don't think I ever will. But it made me think that, like, our generation has never had to, you know, why we have maybe that's why we have so much, you know, clickiness and distance between ourselves and segregation, is because we've never really had to come together and become, you know, one country or
one unit,
person
in a life or death sort of way.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the biggest takeaway that I got from the film. The film is great, looks awesome, sounds awesome, fantastic, but, like, that idea was like, oh man, that's pretty heavy stuff.
Well, Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'd like to circle back to two things with Patrick. Maybe you're getting ready to say one of them, but I want to know why you ended up not seeing it, and then I want to know about your other story. Because you did kind of blow past the other story that you alluded to in your...
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
As far as not seeing it, I wanted to. Frankly, it was related to work. I just have some tough deadlines. Things have to get done. And so, you know, I worked over the weekend. I worked Saturday and Sunday, put in, there was 2 more days of work. I could get knocked out. And then by the time I wrapped up on Sunday, it was about 5:30 when I wrapped. And then I knew Game of Thrones was coming on that evening. And we do like a little pre-party and then watch it. So I just didn't have an opportunity. So I am going to go see it. Actually, because I worked so much over the weekend, I'm taking tomorrow off, and so I actually am planning on going and seeing it just during the day. And then there's talk, if I'm in town this weekend, of going to see it in 70 millimeter. I just have to drive about 2 hours to do that.
Worth it.
So I might just literally see it this week and then go see it again in 70 millimeter this weekend. So I will be seeing it. I'm also going to see Valerian. I know it's not getting great reviews, but gosh, if it doesn't just look beautiful. So I will go see that. Okay, so an Oculus Rift. I went and purchased an Oculus Rift. This was off of Luke's recommendation. That is 2 things now that I've done because he said so. No, I was excited to get one. And in fact, I've been playing X-Plane. I've talked about it on the show.
The first one was Getting Married.
Yeah, that was his other recommendation. I've been playing X-Plane a lot, and that's a flight simulator. And I knew that there was, it wasn't native, but someone did have a basically VR integration to use a Rift while playing X-Plane. So what that allows you to actually look around your cockpit, look around your airplane, which is very important when you're trying to look over your shoulder and make sure you're parallel to your runway and setting up your approach and those type of things. So it's just so much quicker than having to move around with like a joystick or something. It's way more realistic. And so I was excited to get it. Went and purchased it, set it up, and immediately a couple things I noticed. It takes up a lot of space. The sensors, you need a lot of room for the sensors to work well. And I was having trouble because I can't just sit them on my desk, because then what happens is I don't have enough depth in my room to sit them on the edge of my desk. And if I sit them on the front, if I sit them back on the desk, it can't see down below the tabletop.
You lose the whole bottom part.
Which is even worse when you have an airplane that has controls near your feet. Like when you try to reach up under for a parking brake or something, the sensor can't see that. And so that was the first thing where I was like, ugh. On top of that, it takes about 5 USB ports and a HDMI port. It takes a lot off your computer. So that's a bit like, okay, I got to figure this out. And then, and on top of that, it is very graphic card and processor intensive. I mean, I'm running a 1070. I should say I have a pretty decent setup. I mean, I would say that I have an upper mid-range computer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it high-end, but I think running a 1070 and running the processor I've got in the board and everything, I would say this is upper high-end. Luke got very lucky and ended up with a little bit nicer setup, even if accidentally. He ended up with a bit nicer setup than me. And so I also noticed that too. Now, it wasn't a big deal when I was running the kind of doing the introduction for the Switch and running some of the native apps. Actually, it decent on the frames per second. As soon as I started running that in-flight, that VR integration for X-Plane, I went down to like 15 frames. And
do you think that was because it wasn't a native built application?
I think that is a very strong possibility. And so I've already told myself that, I have another friend that has a Rift.
Yeah.
And so they're supposed to release native VR by end of the year. And so I told myself for the time being, I'm probably not going to use it enough. In hindsight, some of that money I could put towards like some other stuff in my room for the time being.
Sure.
So I'll take it back. I'm going to wait for two things. I'm going to wait for native VR, and then I'm going to also see what the likelihood is of them having a completely basically enclosed virtual system, so that way the processing power is handled by the headset maybe instead of the computer.
Okay.
Because that would make a huge difference as well. And we should all know that VR is going to explode. VR and AR both are going to explode next year. I mean,
well, especially with stuff like Ready Player One coming out, people are like, how do I do that?
And the Apple VR toolkit comes out in like October, something like that. So a lot more people will be developing for the platform. So just know that next year your world will be inundated with it. And so I just told myself, you know what? I can take it back for now. End of the year when I have a native experience, I can try it then, because my buddy has like almost the same specs as mine. And then depending on how the technology is trending, I may decide if there's some hardware down the pipeline to wait a little bit longer, or I may go ahead and pull the trigger at the end of the year. So that's kind of the whole thought process. Now, the thing that Best Buy did that is sneaky. So if you're going to buy an Oculus Rift, now's the time to buy it. I mean, it's basically you're getting $650 of hardware for $400 or whatever. I mean, it's a stupid
plus
good
software
deal. Yeah, plus software. So here's what Best Buy does. If you buy it from Amazon, then what you're getting the two sensors, the controller, the Rift, the hand remotes, and like the little
Rock Band.
Gosh, the Rock Band thing, whatever. Okay. If you buy it from Best Buy goes, we'll give you all that, and we're going to throw in a copy of a video game. Right. And they throw in a copy, it's like a whatever.
Valkyrie. Yep.
Valkyrie, yeah. Here's the problem. When you go to return it at Best Buy, they say, oh, well, we don't let people return digital games because they could have already used the code. So we're going to refund it minus $65 because that's the price of that game. Here's what's even crazier. On your receipt, that game is listed as $0, and the price is completely attached to the Rift and the controllers. But when you return it, they want, like, their system by default returns you the price minus $65 because they say, nope, we won't return digital games. I had to have a manager come over and do a second refund and refund my game. I got very lucky because I got all my money back. If you go online and look at forums, there are plenty of people that the managers at their stores refused and would not refund the games. And the Best Buy customer support online stood behind it. I mean, if you Google like return Oculus Rift Best Buy, all the top posts are people that have horror stories of spending the money, going back within the return period, and being told that they're not getting all their money back. That is crazy. And the fact that on the receipt, Best Buy splits the price correctly between all the hardware, lists the game as $0, and then if you come back, they want to deduct $65.
So, yeah.
That is dirty, and that's not something Amazon is doing.
No, that's not right. But I wonder where, like, is it in the, like, T's and C's or anything of if it's returned, the digital software price is non-refundable or anything like that?
They do have policy that digital products are not refundable once they've been sold. That is Best Buy policy.
It's just weird that if it rings out as 0 on the sale receipt, why you don't get a refund. Or at least you can fight for store credit.
The fact that everyone and their brother is selling it for $3.99 for the hardware, and that Best Buy is going to go, we'll throw in a game, and then we're not going to refund the money because we threw in a game, that is simply a dirty tactic. That's it. That's it. Yep. That is their way of taking money from people because they know some people are going to buy them and regret it and return it. It is a dirty tactic on Best Buy's part. Thankfully, Robert, my manager, took care of me. Plenty of people did not get as lucky as I got.
So are you going to still shop at Best Buy, or is it added to the PayPal list?
Literally, like, I don't have a reason to. Best Buy is a window shopping at best because you just see what they have and then go find it cheaper on Amazon or Newegg or wherever else. The only reason I bought from Best Buy this time, because I already don't shop from them, I just bought it because I had it in stock in store and I wanted to play the Rift that night. I didn't want to have to wait a few days. So that's the only reason I went, is because it was in stock. And then the one time I decided to buy from them, I nearly fell prey to that. That's enough for me to go, no, I'm fine to not buy from them. I've been making a good decision. Now, it's not because they've specifically wronged me, but just why would I have the information. I can look online. I just don't need their help.
Sure.
So that's it. So yeah, that's it. That's my elongated story. So we can be done. We can move on.
Well, that was our extended Around the Table, everybody. Brought to you by Aquafina. Really excited to have them on board. As I don't know, I just figure like after a long one like that, you'd want like a sip of water. So I went.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay,
sponsor,
I see.
yeah.
I'll follow you.
But we're gonna go ahead and jump into our master categories. So up next, master categories. Our master categories are a time where we get to talk about the tokens we drew the week before. They give us the categories. We pick the topics. That's how it works. Luke, take us away.
All right. So this is a little strange for me. It's not that strange, but it's different. So I got art and design again. And I'm going to talk a little bit about enamel pins. So if you remember, I brought up enamel pins months ago. Kind of like
Luke invented enamel pins a few months ago.
No. I brought it up on the podcast.
them.
Come on. I do not hate them. I didn't understand the craze. I was like, you know what? It's fine, but it was like at that time it felt like a flood of everybody was doing it. Everybody had pins. There was too much. It was just too much. Just too much. Let's stop. Let's all
Everyone just take a breather.
Put our heads back on, take a breather. Let's actually, do some stuff that we all actually like and all want to see. And so, it's been a bit, and there is that thing. So I recently got a pin, and I think getting this pin is another thing that kind of brought me to this idea. So first of all, because of anything I said about the enamel pins from episode before, I apologize. I'm sorry. But I got a pin from our friends at Super Team Deluxe, Justin and Rogie. Their pin empire that is slowly taking over the space. And there's other brands that are doing good stuff. We have like These Are Things is doing awesome. We're doing Andrew Heath has some good pins. There's a lot of people doing some awesome stuff with pins. But to me, the thing that hits me right is Super Team Deluxe, and they have this pin that I just picked up. It is it's a very simple pin. It just says, let people like things. Let people enjoy things. And that pin is just, I feel like it is my mantra right now of like, I'm just going to try and lower the hate. There's a lot of things that I hate on. because I think there's a lot of really stupid stuff out there. And I'm just gonna stop being vocal about it. And if you like pins, if you like Nickelback, if you like avocado toast, do it. You know what? That's fine.
You hate avocado toast that much?
You literally said my 3 favorite things in the world.
But no, like seriously, like just let people like what they like. Who cares? It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt your ability to live. It doesn't, just whatever. Like, just, it's fine. It's okay.
This is a relatively new mantra for you, though.
It's a relatively, he's borrowing my soapbox from the past few weeks.
Listen, yeah. I'm trying. I'm trying.
I think that when you I think you told me about that, or you sent a picture or something. We were talking about it, and I was like, that's kind of anti what made Luke a couple of years ago. I don't think that it's. I wouldn't say that it's anti you now, but I would say you used to be a big time like.
My personality is very much, I'll just tell you the truth.
You'll tell them,
like, I'm not going to mince
truth,
words.
not the truth, not capital T truth.
No, it's absolutely
exactly.
the
See,
truth.
That's my point. Like, so, and you don't care. You don't care. Like, so
no, I don't care.
This is a new venture for you.
I still, it's not like my mind has changed.
But
like,
now
I
you're just
still
not going to
think
be an
what I
asshole
think
about it to people publicly.
No, if you ask me, I will be. But I'm not going to force my thoughts and opinions on you. I'm going to let you like what you like. That's fine. Whatever.
Cool.
Doesn't hurt me.
I like that.
So, yeah, pins are pins. And if you like
Super
pins,
Team
cool.
Deluxe, man. They do some great work. I'm looking at my
They're
pin board
killing it.
right now, and there's about 6 of them that are from them, and I am in love with each and every one of them.
Yeah, they're killing it. So
awesome.
That's it, man. Art and design, just let people like stuff.
Who you tossing it to?
Yay!
Patrick.
So this week is Glow week for me. I'm talking TV and film, and I'm talking about the new Netflix show, Glow. It stands for the Glamorous Ladies of Wrestling. In the Glow League, this is a real thing, Andrew.
I know.
It's a real thing,
dude. I did not
dude.
know. Like, so before the episode starts, you tell me what you're going to be talking about, so I put it in the thing, and I'm like, Glow, cool. This must be like some, period piece about, the civil rights movement or something. Like that's legitimately what was going through my head, not the glorious ladies of wrestling.
Glamorous, but yes, so
glamorous. Sorry.
The Glow League was a real thing in the 80s. I mean, there's a documentary on Netflix about it, so you can learn more about the league that inspired this show. So Glow, this is its first season. It's 10 episodes, and it features some people that you will know. I mean, the leading lady, although there's a lot of leading ladies, but is Alison Brie. She plays Ruth Wilder, and the idea is that she is a struggling actress. She takes her craft very seriously, but she hasn't been able to really find any parts, and she's to the point where she can barely feed herself. She's tired, she doesn't want to get kicked out of her apartment. She's tired of asking her, parents for money. And a casting director just basically tells her if you have an open mind to some potentially weird stuff, not pornography, but some weird stuff, then I may have something for you, and sends her to this audition. And the audition turns out to be for a women's wrestling show and the newly formed Glow League. And so that's when we're introduced to the director, and then also to the producer, kind of the two guys in the film. But it's Mark Maron. He plays Sam Sylvia, and then it's Chris Lowell. He plays the producer Bash. And by the way, Mark Maron is fantastic. I think he's my favorite part. But the way I would describe it is it's a crazy situation. Right, it's women's wrestling. They're really playing into the stereotypes because they know that will sell well. So it's crazy. Like it's weird, and you're dealing with a producer that and a director that.
Well, you have to have larger than life characters. like in wrestling, we all know that these characters are just
You're
crazy,
saying characters as
insane.
if these aren't real people and this isn't their real life. I need some clarification.
Yep.
So you're dealing, yes, with these wrestling personas in this Coke-fueled 80s culture. So it's crazy. But you actually have very smart, self-aware, sane people taking this journey together. And I think that's what makes me love the show. You know, one of my biggest complaints, and this is a weird tie-in, but I've talked about it on the show, so I'll continue to talk about it, is The Last Man on Earth took a crazy situation and just put crazy people in it. So you have stupid people doing stupid things in response to a stupid situation. Instead of what I believe would be a much more enjoyable watch, which would be to put smart people in a crazy or stupid situation and then let them react to kind of just that, you know, throw your hands up, how can this get any weirder? Thankfully, Glow pulls that off very, very well. Now, that being said, because you're dealing with real people and you're dealing with people that have real problems, there's some pretty dark scenarios. I mean, I'll just go and let you know that there's going to be a couple moments in this show that are going to make you very, very, very uncomfortable, which was a bit unexpected. How far in have you made it, Luke?
I watched the whole season last week.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so there are going to be some moments that make you very uncomfortable. Also, Mark Maron, I don't know how much of this script is influenced by him or how much of the script is just what he's reading. Some of his scenes are pretty... it's a bit unexpected. I mean, like the show seems to have one tone, and there's a couple times that are going to catch you off guard. Now, I think the show took a bit of time to really kind of get its legs. I mean, I would say that the pilot is very strong, and then the next kind of 4 episodes are a bit tougher. Like, I don't think it had found its stride yet. And then I think the last few episodes in the season are I think it's definitely finally becoming itself. And really the ratings reflect that. I mean, if you look at the IMDb episode ranking, episodes 10, 9, and 7 are listed as the 3 best episodes of the season. And the one that's listed as the 2 bottom ones are episode 2 and episode 4. So it just gives you an idea that the ratings kind of reflect that as well, that it has a very strong pilot, and then maybe it takes a step back, and then it has to find its stride.
Well, there's a lot of setup, because like you said, it's these seemingly normal people in this weird, crazy situation. And so they did a really good job of setting up who all of these women are.
Like 14
and
women or
kinda,
something.
Like you
like
learn more. Yeah. And that's a lot, and that's going to take time. So like you said, 2 to 5 were really just kind of who are these people. And then as you get going, it starts rolling, and yeah, dude, it's really good. It's very like you said, there's a lot of moments that are very in your face and very real. The beginning of the show has some stuff that's unexpected. The very first episode, but it kind of tapers off, and then it goes into some other things later. But man, yeah, I really liked it.
So, and it took me a bit of time to like the Debbie Egan character. I struggled with her a lot, and honestly, it wasn't until the last couple episodes of the season that I was able to kind of get on board with her. But Alison Brie is awesome, and Mark Maron is awesome, and I could just watch them two interact.
She plays like it's funny because she plays like, I did theater growing up, so she plays that like actor, like, I'm an actress kind of person.
Oh my gosh, yes,
so well, and it's just so funny and endearing, because you really feel like she's just really trying to make it, and she doesn't have any money. She's trying to like pay these bills and still live. And she's in this situation she's trying to use all of her talents acting in a situation where you really don't need any of those kind of talents, seemingly. I mean, you do, but initially it's like, I don't fit in this world. Why am I here?
She brings 1,000%. So she's a freaking star. I can't say enough good things about her or again Mark Maron. But I would say it's totally worth a watch. Again, I enjoyed the show. Mackenzie didn't enjoy it quite as much as I did. And again,
Lady Wrestling, she didn't like it.
Some of the topics get pretty serious, and the language can get pretty colorful. So before you set out to watch it, just keep that in mind. That being said, I really enjoyed the show, and I think it's actually it especially like moving from beginning season to the end of the season. I really do care about these people, and it's surprisingly strong when it comes to like individual moral compass. It's a good show, so I enjoyed it. So Andrew, that just leaves you.
Okay, so I got toys and games again, and I'm excited because I've actually over the past several weeks have purchased several new games, and so this has actually worked out really well for me. Thanks, Luke, for letting me borrow your category for the last few weeks just to get these out there to the people.
Well, you're doing decent.
You're learning stuff, which is good, right? You're learning about new games. So if I can teach the master,
I'm learning how to twist thing into art and design.
But you're learning about new games, which means I'm doing a good job.
It's true.
I'm bringing a new game. So this game is one called Oh Captain. Have you seen this yet?
Oh Captain.
It's a new game.
I like the artwork,
so I got
though.
this game off of the new release shelf at my local game store. And I like the artwork, and that's what drew me to it first, right? So that's what I do. But here's what's cool. This box, look how it opens. It slides out through the top like that. It's not like...
Well, that's not normal.
It slides out like that, but then the box itself lays flat. So...
You got picked for that?
Yes. Yeah. If you want the slide out feature...
I'll get the regular box version.
No, you don't pay extra. So... let me give you a quick rundown of the game itself, and then I'll tell you about some of the pieces and what makes it kind of unique and fun. Have you guys... I'll first try to describe it based on another game. You guys have both played Sheriff of Nottingham, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Sheriff of Nottingham...
I won Sheriff of Nottingham. Thank you.
Did we play together?
We did. Yeah, we played at your house with Dirty Sanchez.
So it's...
Christmas Rodriguez.
Okay. Let me try to take this back over. So like that game, it is a bluffing game. So you want people to potentially think you have something that you don't actually have. And the point of the game, like most games, is to have the most money by the end. The way that you determine how long the game is, there's a certain set of cards, and at the end of those cards, like you shuffle in a specific character somewhere into the bottom 4 cards, so you know within the last 4 turns, you don't know which one, but within the last 4 turns, the game will end suddenly, and whoever has the most money accumulated by that point wins the game. Okay, so
gotcha.
That's really it. It's Oh Captain. It's like a maritime themed game. You have shipwrecked on this island. This is the storyline. You've shipwrecked on this island, and you are trying to find resources and accumulate resources that when someone comes to save you, they're called the nomads. When the nomads show up to save you, they want to buy all of the things that you've accumulated, and so you want to get the things that are worth the most money throughout the course of the game. All right, so that's the general theme of it. I won't go into all the mechanics of it, but
like all the rum.
Yeah, kind of like that. So you get a character. There are 6 different characters. So the gameplay is from 3 to 6 players. But every character gets one of these like cards that has the character's name and what their ability is. Each character has a unique ability. Some are more offensive, some are more defensive. Just depends. And then it shows you how many of each of the cards there are in the deck. That's to help you judge whether or not you think someone's telling the truth about what they have. So one person gets designated as the captain, and the captain doesn't actually take a turn. The captain just is like the sheriff in Sheriff of Nottingham. The sheriff the captain gets kind of first dibs on whatever that person's playing. They can buy it from them if they want to.
Okay.
And then you can if you get more tokens than the captain, you have to either claim loyalty to him at the beginning of your turn and give him or her one of your tokens. And then proceed with your turn as normal, or you can declare mutiny, and you get one token from the pot, like from the communal thing, and you become the captain. And so the captain kind of shifts around. And there's strategy to not being the captain, and there's strategy to being the captain, and just the way that you want to play it. You can challenge people if you think they're lying to you. Like most games, if you win the challenge, you get some money from them, and if you lose the challenge, you have to give them money, and whatever effect they're trying to do to you continues on. And so,
sure,
I'm not going to go into what all the different cards do, but these are. Let me talk about the pieces. So the actual game itself, like we said, the artwork is great. It looks really nice. But look at the backs.
And this is made by Asmodee. Same that do like Dixit and Seven Wonders
Right. Okay. So the game itself, if you look at Board Game Geek, the game is published by Asterion Press and Ludonat Press. So
okay.
So the whole idea of Asmodee, I wonder if Asmodee is a distributor.
They're a publisher, I think, or I don't. Maybe they are a distributor, but they're listed on their site as a game. It's listed on their site as one of their games.
But I think they're a distributor. I would guess because they would have put that as a producing credit on Board Game Geek if they were there, because you can look at the full credits and they're not listed there. The game designer is Florian Siriex or Syrie. I don't know how you pronounce it. A whole slew of artists worked on this game. It's great. 3 to 6 players. It takes about 30 minutes to play. But this is what I was going to show you. Look at the cards. They're gold foil on the back. Yeah,
gosh, that looks so good.
They're
That's
so
not
nice.
a cheap game.
This looks like a super heavy stock. Yeah,
it is. And then look, this is what the cards stay in this cave. This is a little cave that passes from player to player, and so you pull them out of this cave. You're trying to not pull one of these cards. Like I said, I was going to go into all of them, but one of these cards, there's a sea monster, and his name is, I can't remember the
Ted.
It's Ted. Yep.
Sea Man.
Yeah, it's the Sea Man. This is one of its eggs. All right. So if you get one of these eggs, you can't you shouldn't have it. So you have to lie about what you have if you get one of those cards. And if you get caught in that lie, then you pay a penalty. If you're the captain, you get this this message in a bottle. You see this, Patrick?
Yeah.
Look at that. The
That's
production
great.
value on that is great. It's like a real thick plastic bottle with a written message in it, and then there are these little banners that are really thick stock cardboard. Everything is just really well produced, and the box has a spot for everything, like a molded spot for everything, which is even better. Stuff just doesn't roll around in there loose. So I'm just and it comes with this book that's like the origin story. And it walks you through, and there's artwork and stuff like that. It actually lays out the story of what's going on with dialogue and stuff. So it's great, and it's not that expensive. I think I paid I want to say it was only $25 or $30. For the game, and so it's a quick game. Like I said, you can play it in about 30 minutes. It's fun. It's 8 and older, so Cooper was able to play it with us, and he did fine. Anyway, Oh Captain with an exclamation point. It's great. Go pick it up. All right.
Cool.
I think that's it for our episode. So we're going to go ahead and call this one done. You can find all of the show notes and links to the stuff we talked about at mof1podcast.com. And you can also find an archive there with tons of great people. Our interview this week you don't want to miss, so go to iTunes and subscribe now so you don't miss it. But Thursday's episode is going to be a good one. Let's just say we're going back across the pond for this one. And, what else is there? There's Patreon. You can support the show by going and becoming a patron there. You can become a patron for as little as $1. You can give $5 and become the blooper level, which gets you all sorts of other exclusive stuff. And it helps us out a lot because this isn't free and it's really helpful. You can support the show by going to iTunes and subscribing. And after you do that, Patrick, what happens?
You can rate and review the show and then leave a comment. And whatever you say to us, we will read on this episode. This week, we do have another rating. So thank you. We just hit the 55-star ratings. Thank you.
Thank you.
we do not have another review. So whoever it was hit the button and ran away. That's fine. But if you would, tell us how you feel about the show, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. We will read it on the air. If you take too long, if you're very verbose, we'll just make a whole special episode about it. So
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
It will go only to our patrons, and so become a patron as well.
or you'll never hear it.
We'll just double up. All right. So you can also find us on social media. Just search MF1 Podcast on all the different channels. You'll find us there. Just join the conversation. Find us on Slack. Go to mf1podcast.com/Slack. There are so many incredibly cool people in there day in and day out chatting about stuff, sharing their work. If you have not joined that yet, or you're apprehensive, or you don't know if you're the right person for the Slack channel, just take the leap. I promise you won't regret it.
If I'm in there, you're fine.
Yeah, if we let Luke in, literally anybody else can do it. Literally. So anyway, just take that plunge. It's going to be a good time. I think that's it. We're going to get out of this episode. I'm Andrew.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Luke.
Peace out.
Bye.
Hold on to your butts.
So make sure you have your life vest, because this boat's leaving the shore.
It's sinking.
The best part about that joke is Patrick doesn't get it. Okay.
This is my favorite. That's my favorite.